Welcome to Narratives and Nightcaps, Books, Beverages, and Author Conversations. We're back for a reading recap. I'm Bree.
I'm Jordan.
I'm Emily.
Well
Look at us
done,
go.
guys.
Nailed it.
Yes.
Hold my breath the whole time we do.
I like it
I'm like-
obviously when I kick it off because the pressure is so off on when I have to
It's
say my
like-
name.
It's like a game of chicken. I'm like reading facial expressions, like, where do I see someone's gonna go?
Well, like I almost want to point like in my screen, but then I'm like, you guys, like it's probably different organized, so you're just like,
Yep.
who is it?
Yeah, you.
That
Don't you
That
see
would be
I'm quick
epic.
to you?
Emily, this means you.
Oh,
That's
Well,
funny. That's good.
It is so wonderful to chat with you ladies, as always. I'm very, very excited based on some of the titles I've seen floating around to get into what you've been reading lately and want to talk about. I also am very excited to talk about one of mine because I made Jared sit and listen to me summarize the entire book for him
did
today.
you read some dirty scenes?
I
No.
didn't read any dirty scenes. No, I didn't, but I was just like, I have to talk to you about this. This book is living rent free in my head. And I go, I'm talking about it on the pod, but I need to spoil it. Like, I need to go into more depth. And so I literally summarized the whole book for him. So, on that note, Megan, do you want to kick us off with your books?
Yes, I do. So my first book is Hello Beautiful by Anne Napolitano. And this was my first book by her. I actually got invited to be in a physical book club where we like meet in person, which I've never been part of before. I've only ever had this little podcast of ours. And so this was the pick for that book club. And I had no idea what it was about, so going into it was just totally unexpected. But here is the Goodreads summary of this title. William Waters grew up in a house silenced by tragedy, where his parents could hardly bear to look at him, much less love him. So when he meets the spirited and ambitious Julia Padavano in his freshman year of college, it's as if the world has lit up around him. With Julia comes her family, as she and her three sisters are inseparable. Sylvie, the family's dreamer, is happiest with her nose in a book. Cecilia is a free-spirited artist, and Emmeline patiently takes care of them all. With the Padavanos, William experiences a newfound contentment. Every moment in their house is filled with loving chaos. But then the darkness from William's past surfaces, jeopardizing not only Julia's carefully orchestrated plans for their future, but the sisters' unshakable devotion to one another. The result is a catastrophic family rift that changes their lives for generations. Will the loyalty that once rooted them be strong enough to draw them back together when it matters most? So, what's interesting is I actually had a hard time finding a summary because I've read some that were from more of the sister's perspective, and then this one was from William's perspective in a way. And so it was just really interesting to pick, I guess, which one you want to go. So the book is like a multi-person point of view. I don't, have you guys all read this at this point? No, no.
I
Wow.
have.
Okay.
Yes.
So we're two out of the four of us. Awesome. So it's like multi-perspective. It's also like multi-timeline because it kind of
Yes.
bounces back and forward between past and present. And I feel like the louder voices in this novel are definitely that of the sisters. Williams is a huge, like, prominent part of the story, but I wouldn't say it's as dominating as theirs. So to read a recap that was kind of like Williams past and Williams, all of this is just it was interesting. So that aside, I personally, and Jordan, I'm curious what you thought too, felt so much emotion, like love, hate, wanting to cry, wanting to like throw my book across the room while
Yep.
reading this novel. It was definitely profound to say the least. I also have seen and heard a lot of comparisons to this being like a modern day Little Women type of story,
Yes.
just because
Yeah.
it's four sisters dealing with a family tragedy. Everyone's kind of that coming of age period in their life. And so some of those aspects I agree with, the bond of four sisters, they're all leaning on each other. They have this almost like secret language between the three of them of how, or the four of them of how they interact with everything. But then there's other aspects that I feel like are very far fetched from the Little Women theory and theme. Just, I don't know. Obviously, timeline is way different, but I feel like some of the things that they go through are nothing like what the Little Women went through. So,
Yeah.
definitely trigger
Yeah.
warnings abound in this book. Um, Especially for like depression, self-harm, suicidal ideation, suicidal attempt, not to give anything away, but otherwise I felt like it was a really, really engaging read. I feel like you really have to be in the right headspace. It is pretty sad. It's pretty
Yeah.
dark, and at some times. I said I found myself really hating Julia, the main one of the main characters, a lot because of just how much she didn't understand this darkness that William goes through and just how like self-centered she ended up being, and yet I also can't fully hate her because a lot of what she did was to grow herself and for her child to provide a life for them. So just I don't know. I feel like again go in it with like the right headspace, but I feel like it's definitely worth the read. It does just have a slower, maybe sadder
Mhm.
vein to it. It's not, not necessarily your happy, upbeat, fun story that you might want to read. So
Yeah.
Not
putting
your
that out
beach
there.
read.
Not your beach read, but
Not
really a great read.
quite.
Yeah.
No, and it is. I'm really glad that you liked it and that you enjoyed it. This is the only Ann Napolitano book that I have yet to pick up as well, but I want to read more of her, and I thought that her writing was incredibly compelling, and I loved this book. We covered it on Tales Over Tales back when
Nice.
that podcast was going, and so and it's cool that you talked about choosing it for your local book club too, because I feel like there's a lot of topics that could be discussed, and it's one of those deeper, heavier books. And I relate to hating Julia, but also having sympathy for her
Right.
at the same time. Listener, we're talking about prefrontal cortex not being fully formed and completely developed. Okay, so
Yes.
we have grace. We need to have grace.
Has your
Um,
book club met on it yet?
So that's interesting, because we did, but we met, so like we've been meeting, I like only know one other person, and she's the one that brought me to this book club, or I guess two other people. And so we have been meeting with, all of these women who don't know each other. So I feel like no one is like super open or like outgoing on things. And then the other thing is that we've been meeting in like kind of loud spaces. And so I'm
that's
like,
always hard.
what? I'm like, what are you talking about? And
What a
Yeah.
so
tough book to like open up in a group setting like that.
yes, yes. So
Yeah.
it was the person that created the book club that was her pick because she had been wanting to read it for a long time, and I'm glad she did. I mean, I loved it. It reminds me a lot of the like Allison Espach books that I have come to love because it just has that like very like it's so real, but it's sad the whole time. But so I really enjoyed it. I love a good depressing book apparently. But yeah, but like hearing about it from the book club perspective, I feel like not a lot of people read it. Not a lot of people could hear
Oh
each other talk
gosh.
about it. And then we all just like don't know each other that well. So no one
So
was
that
like
makes it hard.
super open. Yeah,
Yeah.
so there was like three big, I don't know,
That's like three
things that,
strikes.
yes,
Three
yes,
strikes.
that's what I'm
You're
looking
out.
for. Yeah. So hopefully the next book we're reading is Atmosphere, and I think everyone was like super hyped about that. So I think that one will go over a lot better.
That one is also a good book club pick for sure.
Yes.
But no,
Yes.
that's cool that you related it to Alison Espach too, because I haven't picked up anything by her, but you've brought her to the podcast so
Twice.
frequently as well that like I need to hop on that. And I did actually kind of wonder before you made that comment whether or not there were similarities kind of in their writing or in their prose and
Yeah,
subject
I feel
matter.
like
So
their storytelling is very similar. I don't know.
I love that.
I love apparently sadness and scary.
Well,
Sad and scary are kind of my thing.
I think you like real things. I
Yeah,
think
100%.
you like just getting to know you through this podcast, Megan. Like you like things that are embedded in truth and that tell things like they are,
Yes.
that don't try to BS you.
Girl, yes.
And I got
Jordan,
mad respect
You
for
get
that.
me.
I
Well
got you.
said. I was gonna say, Megan, I think we're then entering like your season of reading with spooky season, and all that
Oh, yeah.
comes with like spooky season reading is Megan's jam.
Yes, I've already bought 2 books that were just like because I wanted to, not for the
See,
spooky
here we
season,
go.
but they will make an appearance. They will make an appearance.
I love
So,
it.
There you go.
okay, my second book is kind of spooky. AR Tour again. This is like my third one that I've brought to the table. So here we go. Perla, oh, sorry, this is called The Last Party. Perla Waltz lives with her husband Grant and their precious daughter Sophie in an A-gated Pasadena community. Affluent, sociable, and accomplished, Perla plays the part of loving wife and mother to perfection. It seems an ideal life, if not for a decades-old crime that has become Perla's dark and consuming secret obsession. 23 years ago, Leewood Fulcrum confessed to murdering 2 young girls during a birthday party. Though he's been condemned to a life sentence, his crime is not forgotten. Not by Perla, nor by an inquisitive doctoral student interviewing Fulcrum for his dissertation. He's getting the killer to open up about his motives, his confession, and the truth of what really happened on that horrible night. As the past and present intertwine, the deceptions behind the infamous murder begin to surface. But who is deceiving who now, and why? And as an ingeniously twisted plan is set in motion, who will be the next to die? So on this review, I said,
Dun, dun,
another one.
dun.
Yes, because this is my third book, I think, by this one. So they just keep getting more freaking dark and twisted. I just like can't. This might be my new like Frida McFadden because I just can't not read these books.
I was
can't
I
gonna
don't
get
know.
ask where this author compared to Frida McFadden. for
Frida.
you.
Yes.
I was
Yeah.
gonna ask.
Yes, and like these are all, I feel like every book is they're just complex and twisted. This one especially, it was just insane to me. Like, not to give anything away, but you kind of step back and you realize like just how mentally unstable the main character is, and you're just like, what the fuck? Like, how does this happen? And the twists and turns this novel takes you through are just so layered and unexpected. Like you know, all of a sudden this person isn't who they say they are, and this person never actually did anything, and
Ooh.
this person you kind of suspected that they were in on it and they never were, and just all of these things. So this one definitely digs a little darker than the past 2 that I've read, I think. This one is a lot more, again, probably trigger warnings abound. A lot of like weird, like wanting to kill children kind of thing, which is
Oh.
not great. So it gets pretty dark. But it just go in knowing that, I guess. And definitely it was a quick read for me because I just cannot get enough of these books. So that's that one.
Okay. Okay.
Both of those were on my TBR. Like I like went to my Goodreads. I was like, gosh, like I forgot to open my Goodreads to add books as we're talking.
Yes.
They were both already there, and now I feel like
Nice.
I need to move them
Yeah.
up. The Last Party in particular, I'm like, just like you're
I'm
saying,
really
the leaves
intrigued.
are blowing, like the season is changing.
Yes. The Burr months are upon us.
The Burr months,
This sounds
October
like
is here. I'm excited.
this sounds like a perfect Burr month book on my
Yes.
TBR.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
100%.
100%.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
How
Okay.
many books does she have? Like, are you gonna keep going?
I think so. I don't know how many.
I think
I need to look, but she does. I think because I like randomly went through and started adding all
All of them.
of them. Yes, and I need to see like what my count is at now. I need to keep up with.
you got to be a completist.
I'd like to be a completist. Yeah, I need to be a
Yeah.
completist for
Yeah.
somebody.
There you go.
A lot of her books too are available on Kindle Unlimited for me. Honestly,
go.
too.
There you
So
go.
I
See,
would
adding
totally
to
be down to
Goodreads.
buddy read one of these with you. 100%. That would
I
be.
don't actually know what that means.
That just means reading it together. Buddy reading, like reading at the same time.
Okay.
I just love that you're like nodded.
Love it.
You're like,
Yes,
yes.
yes,
And what is
100%.
that?
I just
What
don't know
is
what you're
that?
talking about.
She was like all down 100%, but also
I'm
Like,
down to
what does
read
that
I'm
mean?
in,
books.
but what are we doing?
I'm in. I'm in. I haven't read any A.R. Tour, but I just looked up on Goodreads and I'm in.
Yes.
There
Yep.
you
And
go.
I was introduced to her by one of my friends who's in this book club, the one that brought me to this book club.
Oh,
And
cool.
she gifted me one last Christmas and I like cannot stop
Cool.
reading ever since. So thank you. Shout out
There you
Kelsey.
go.
Woohoo.
There you go. I love that. Okay. Very cool. Well, kind of keeping the vibes going, then the first book that I have to bring for our August reading recap is Bright Young Women by Jessica Knoll.
I want to read this one so bad because freaking Karen and Georgia talk about it all the time.
All right.
They read this.
Yes.
So here is your setup, listener. January 15th, 1978 is a night of promise, excitement, and desire. A serial killer's murderous spree in the Pacific Northwest couldn't be further from the minds of the vibrant young women at the top sorority on Florida State University's campus in Tallahassee. That night, Pamela Schumacher, president of the sorority, makes the unpopular decision to stay home. Startled awake at 3 a.m. by a strange sound, she makes the fateful decision to investigate. What she finds outside her bedroom door is a scene of implausible violence. 2 of her sisters dead, 2 others maimed. On the other side of the country, in Seattle, Tina Cannon has found peace after years of hardship. A chance encounter brings 25-year-old Ruth Wachowski into her life, and they forge an instant connection. But then Ruth goes missing from Lake Sammamish State Park in broad daylight, the same day as another young woman surrounded by thousands of beachgoers. Both vanish without a trace. Tina is convinced Ruth was the target of the man the papers referred to as the all-American sex killer. When she learns of the massacre in Tallahassee, Tina is convinced it's him again. She rushes to Florida on a collision course with Pamela and one last impending tragedy. Bright Young Women tells the story of 2 women from opposite sides of the country who forge a sisterhood in grief and in the fervent pursuit of justice, toggling between those terrifying days in 1978 and a letter that brings them together in the present. This is a novel that flips the script on the oft-perpetuated glorification of a sadistic, but ultimately of average man, and instead turns the spotlight on the exceptional women that he targeted. So, if you didn't
Hell yeah.
already figure this out, listener, the serial killer that we're referring to is Ted Bundy. And spoiler, not spoiler, I know that this is spoiler free, not spoiler friendly. The killer is referred to throughout the novel as the defendant because we're talking about his legal case, right? When he's put on trial for murder. He is never in this book to be referred to by name. This is all specifically meant to give tribute to the intelligent, incredible, courageous, and beautiful, brave women that he stole life from and from their loved ones. So this book, I'll just say it got a 3.5 out of 5 stars for me. There were some areas that I did feel were lacking a little bit. While a lot of this is rooted, obviously, in history, very recent history, it's also fabricated. Couple names are changed, details and things like that.
Yeah.
I did think that the author did a really good job of talking about a very recent time in our history, right? And talking about these women who were just so incredible, who were just so amazing and had their whole lives ahead of them and had all of that potential just ripped away from them. And not only them, but their loved ones and their families as well. So while this book gave more attention to the victims and paid special tribute to their suffering, it did the best that it could with such heavy content as well. It definitely left you on the edge of your seat in a lot of ways, right? Because kind of like how Megan was talking about Hello Beautiful is multiple character POV. This is mainly two characters' POVs, but then we also jump into Ruth's POV, who was one of his victims. And that depiction was just spine chilling for me, 100%. So it definitely left me needing some lighter reads after this one. I'm not gonna lie. I've grown up pretty like sort of fascinated with Ted Bundy a little bit and with other serial killers of that time. I mean, I definitely have done my research and little things like that. So that's what, drew me to read this one. And if you're interested in things like that, if that's up your alley, I highly recommend. I think it was a really, really good read. But yeah, that was Bright Young Women by Jessica Knoll. So
I'm still in. I want to read it.
He visited me in my dreams a couple times.
Oof.
That was.
I'm not sure that your recap, Jordan, sounds fascinating. I'm not sure I could read this one. This might be a story for another time, but my mom grew up in Spokane and actually had a run-in with Ted Bundy.
No effing way.
When she was in, I think it was high school would be the timing of this.
Yes.
Very quick overview of that story. So she was at a school dance at her school at the top of the hill, and there's like a dirt wood path and then like the parking lot, right? And so she drove herself, went to the dance, left early. It's dark, goes down the wood path, approaches her car, and this random guy pops up on the other side of her car and is very charming and like nice to look at and offers to drive her to the highway because it was like a wooded path and then you like get on the highway and you can go into town. And it was starting to snow and it was, Pacific Northwest in the fall, and she like got the creeps and started saying like, no, thank you, kind of politely declining. But meanwhile, he's walking around the car. Like, so she keeps the car between them. And like, so they're doing this like dance, right? Like around the car. And it turned from like, hey, would you let me drive you? Let me help you, to like, I am going to drive you. Like the tone changed partway through. And so finally she got to the driver's side, like got in, locked the doors. He's like pounding on the window. She drives away. And when she looks in the rearview mirror, he's gone. Like can't be seen. So she like goes to the police and does a picture like pick out, and it was him. And I'm like, so I think this sounds like a fabulous book. I'm just not sure if I could read it at this point personally.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, no.
Emily, one, your parents are like total survivors.
I was gonna say, like, you're like between your mom and your dad. Should you even be here, Emily? I feel like you shouldn't even exist.
I maybe not. Maybe it's a luck
Oh
drop.
my God.
So, like, how did that come up? Like,
Oh yeah.
like in your life, how did that come up when? Like, were you in the car one day and she was just like, by the way, like, let me tell you a scary tale. Like, how did that come up?
So it came up, I mean, so I have two sisters. So there was always talk about like stranger danger and, be safe and like know who you're talking to. I don't want to say like, it's not like be afraid of the public, but just with three girls, there was a lot of conversation about
be cautious. Like
be cautious, right? And she would use that story to illustrate like, hey, you got to be always aware and let me tell you a story of what happened to me. And then, we all did our own research as we got older, and, you learn who Ted Bundy is. And so that was kind of her, like one of her ways to illustrate, like, you got to be aware and know your surroundings, and it can happen at any time, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it
Wow.
wasn't like Hey, how was your day, by the way?
Yeah,
Random detective.
hey,
Oh, I
hope
was
you had a
like,
great day at
"Hey," I'm like, "How does that
school.
come up in
Yeah.
conversation? Or is it like, did you, like, learn about Ted Bundy one day, and then you come home and you're like, "Mom, I learned about this
Ted,
crazy
yeah.
killer," and she's like, "Let me tell you."
Yeah.
Um,
I don't remember the first time she brought it up. It just was kind of an ever pervasive, like, story to illustrate, like, why you need to be careful or at least
Mhm.
cautious and aware of, like, your surroundings,
Mhm.
right?
Well, but
Yeah.
also his is such a story and his is such a name that is talked
Yes.
about so free and this is why very and again this isn't
Yeah.
giving anything away, but very early on the author in the book explains why we are referring to him as the defendant. He doesn't get to have a name in this
Yeah.
story. In this story, the names are the names of those that he has done wrong
Wrong.
and
Yeah.
that he has murdered, that he has victimized, that he has brutally and so cruelly
Yeah.
killed. And
yeah, I
and
love the
that was
approach for
done
sure.
very well.
Mhm.
That
Yeah.
I would say
100%.
was done very well.
It feels very apropos too, just with like, not to go too gruesome on this because we'll jump back into your next one, but the
Yes.
Idaho murders and what's been in the news about like that whole situation. It
Yes.
feels very kind of apropos with some of those family
Yes.
statements, right, that were
Mhm.
made about that case.
Yes. No,
Did
you're
you guys
so right.
listen to any of that testimony? Sorry, I just like,
I
oh
just
my
heard
God.
Yeah,
snippets. I just heard
yeah,
snippets, but I think one of the sisters said the only reason that you're here is
yes,
because she was asleep.
she
She
would
would
have.
have
Oh yeah.
pictured
Yeah,
it.
yeah, 100%.
Like
They all
I
just
was
like
like,
ripped him a new one publicly, and I absolutely love it. And obviously, he's gonna get fucked in jail, so that doesn't matter.
And he's got 4 consecutive life sentences, so
Yeah,
good luck with
I
that.
yeah,
believe
Yeah.
right. He took that was a plea deal, I think. If I'm not
Hmm.
yeah.
mistaken, I think that
Yep.
was a plea deal that he took because he knew he wasn't. Anyway, moving on to lighter things. My next book,
So,
which is much better, much lighter than my first one.
I like the title already. This sounds like a whole nother level.
Yes. Listener, I have for you The Star-Crossed Sisters of Tuscany by Lori
Oh,
Nelson Spielman. And here is the recap. A trio of second-born daughters set out to break the family curse that says they'll never find love on a whirlwind journey through the lush Italian countryside by New York Times bestseller Lori Nelson Spielman. Since the day Filomena Fontana cast a curse upon her sister more than 200 years ago, not one second-born Fontana daughter has found lasting love. Some, like second-born Emilia, the happily single baker at her grandfather's Brooklyn deli, claim it's an odd coincidence. Others, like her sexy, desperate for love cousin, Lucy, insist it's a true hex. But both are bewildered when their great aunt calls with an astounding proposition. If they accompany her to the homeland of Italy, Aunt Poppy vows she'll meet the love of her life on the steps of the Ravello Cathedral on her 80th birthday. And she'll break the Fontana second daughter curse once and for all. Against the backdrop of wandering Venetian canals, rolling Tuscan fields, and enchanting Amalfi Coast villages, romance blooms, destinies are found, and family secrets are unearthed, secrets that could threaten the family far more than a centuries-old curse. Okay. So this was not quite 5 stars for me, but it was definitely 4.5. I loved this book. This book was really, really cute and it was really, really good. And if you want to read a book that makes you want to go to Italy, this is the book for you to read. 100%. The food, the locations, all of the different things. It was so, so good. And I had so much fun reading this book. I felt like I was on a journey with these second born daughters for sure. And it was just a delightful, lovely adventure and journey. this book does have a couple of twists and turns too, which I thought was really fun. This author is like full of a couple little like she threw a couple little like plot twists in there that I would not have anticipated, and I was really excited. It increased my joy with this book. And you will just fall in love with all of the characters, most all of them. I mean, especially Poppy, the great aunt. I think that she's phenomenal. I would be remiss if I didn't bring this quote with this recap as well. There's a line in there where she says, she's kind of encouraging Emilia to get out there and to live her life, like not just be content with being, the baker's daughter, if you will, and all of these things. And she says, make it riveting, make every scene sizzle. When it comes time to watch the movie of your life, may tears run down your face. May you scream with laughter and cringe with embarrassment. But for goddess's sake, do not let your life story be one that's so dull you fall asleep during the viewing.
Oof.
That gives me such vibes. First of all, goosebumps, but second, such vibes of the aunt from the 7-Year Slip. Like,
yes,
I know that Brie,
it does have,
I
oh my gosh,
like,
listener, I have to fill you
100%.
in. I've read the 7-Year Slip, and I gotta tell you, this is giving 7-Year Slip vibes. Kind of.
Like,
it's got less of the magical realism, obviously, like that's not in there, but absolutely.
I was thinking, Jordan, as you were reading through this, and like the 7-Year Slip kept coming up. I'm going, gosh, Brie was so right. This book never leaves my head.
No,
like never leaves.
It never leaves. Oh, okay. I love that. We can't have an episode where we don't mention that book because we need
mention
everyone to read it. I literally just
Shameless
bought that
plug.
book for my mother-in-law because I was like, well, and then I couldn't remember if I'd already gotten it for her, so I was like, I didn't. It's fine.
oh good. Okay.
But I was like, okay,
Funny.
I want to go get her a couple of books, and I was like, this is right up her alley, and I'm like, but have I already given this to her? I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm getting similar aunt vibes. Like that quote just sounds like it could be the aunt in 7-Year Slip.
Yes. No, 100%. Poppy definitely has. Oh, it's very cute.
Aww.
It's very cute and it's very good. I highly recommend. So that's The Star-Crossed Sisters of Tuscany by Lori Nelson Spielman.
What an uplifting one, and I'm adding it to my TBR because I am in need of some uplift. After some of the
No,
ones.
and honestly,
Yeah.
as we're transitioning from like summer to fall, now is like the perfect time to read one like this, honestly, because I was like, I gotta read this before I transition to fall vibes. I can't. This is not, listener, this is not a fall book. It's not.
No.
It's definitely not.
It sounds like a palate cleanser. A very good, solid summer. Yeah. Perfect.
And yes, listener, I did read these in this order. I read Bright, and then I read Bright Young Women, and I was like, all right, we gotta go.
Got to turn a page and
turn a page. I was picking up what you were putting down, Jordan. I was like, I bet this was this order.
Listen, if I had flipped, could you imagine if I had flipped those around?
No.
All
right. Well, I think I'm going to continue the theme of like darker, emotional thriller, like
let's
books
keep it going.
with Wild Dark Shore by Charlotte McConaughey. I think it's
right.
Yeah. I think Jordan, you've read it?
I have.
And then Megan and Brie, you guys haven't. So 2 out of 4. Okay, perfect. So I listened to the audiobook because that's my jam these days. It's the only way.
Same.
And it was epic. Like some audiobooks are not, but what was epic about this, and then I'll go into the recap, is so it's an Australian family that it's a father and 3 children.
Is this the movie that's coming out? Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. With what's her face? Why can't I think of her name?
Huh?
No. Now I gotta Google. Is this being? No.
I'm Googling this right now.
Okay, sorry. I did not mean to cut you off. Please continue.
No.
I think there's something with a similar premise coming out with like Jude Law and shoot, what's the other girl's name?
I'm Googling this frantically. I don't see but I
I'm
would
Googling
be
Jude
like
Law
all
movies.
I would
Eden?
be
Yes. Okay, sorry. So it is something totally different. My bad. My bad. My bad.
no, you're good. Because I would have freaked out if this was coming out in a movie. Like I would have been first in line for tickets.
I
My
know.
bad.
I was like, hold up, wait a
Hold the
second.
phone. Okay.
Okay, I think it's a
False
similar
alarm.
premise.
All
So,
good.
or
No, it does look like it is a similar premise.
Maybe it's
A group
based.
of outsiders settling on a remote island. Their greatest threat is the brutal climate or deadly wildlife.
but until someone shows up, then
Similar.
someone shows up.
Yeah. So we'll do the recap. But the audiobook I was gonna say was great because you're good, Brie, all good. Because all the family is Australian, so the four narrators are like they have Australian narrators, so it like adds a whole nother element
I thought they did a
to
great
it.
job. I did like the audio.
Excellent. Excellent audiobook. Okay, so here's the recap. Again, thank you, Goodreads, for this recap.
Get it, girl.
Dominic Salt and his 3 children are caretakers of Shearwater, a tiny island not far from Antarctica. Home to the world's largest seed bank, Shearwater was once full of researchers. But with the sea levels rising, the Salts are now its final inhabitants. Until, during the worst storm the island has ever seen, a woman mysteriously washes ashore. Isolation has taken its toll on the Salts, but as they nurse the woman, Rowan, back to strength, it begins to feel like she might just be what they need. Rowan, long accustomed to protecting herself, starts imagining a future where she could belong to someone again. But Rowan isn't telling the whole truth about why she set out for Shearwater. And when she discovers sabotaged radios and a freshly dug grave, she realizes Dominic is keeping his own secrets. As the storms on Shearwater gather force, they all must decide if they can trust each other enough to protect the precious seeds in their care before it's too late, and if they can finally put the tragedies of the past behind them to create something new together. A novel of breathtaking twists, dizzying beauty, and ferocious love. Wild Dark Shore is about the impossible choices we make to protect the people we love, even as the world around us disappears.
Question.
So worth
What
it.
kind of seeds? What kind of seeds are they? What are we
Okay,
getting?
so this was this
Go,
was a
Emily,
learning
go.
for me because
Yes.
I didn't
No,
realize
this
this is
book
a
is
thing.
so educational.
Yes,
Listen,
yes. Okay, I was shocked. I learned a thing, and I went down a
but
deep.
this
Like,
is a thing. Emily, Bree, Megan, Bree, this is a thing. It's a
so
thing.
there are seed banks around the world. Okay, or one. Please, listeners, don't like come at me if I get this wrong. But
This
where
is an
the
educational podcast.
education, where the world countries have come together and like given seeds for all the plants on the planet. So think like everything from crops, like food that we eat, to
Yep.
rare plants that you would find, to like all the stuff in the Amazon rainforest. Like basically, it is a doomsday prep seed bank that if something were to happen to the world, nuclear war or like whatever it might be, that there is a backup to be able to like regrow, plants, food, plants, like all
This
sorts
is
of, so
real.
everything.
This is
This is real.
real?
This is real.
No. Hats
Real.
off to the author. Emily will probably get into this, but
Yeah.
Charlotte McConaughey legit did her research. She
100%.
visited one of
A
these
seed bank.
seed banks. Like I'll see if I can
Yep.
Google and find the YouTube interview, and I'll send it to you guys. Yes.
This is very much not the movie trailer I was thinking of.
It's okay.
When you
It's
said,
fine.
I had to laugh through when the title came out as Eden, and I knew this was about seed banks. I'm like, I don't know if this is gonna like maybe not.
We
So-
departed with their similarities.
So this isn't totally giving stuff away. I know this is a spoiler-free episode. But one of the challenges that they have is with the seawater rising, the seed bank doesn't have enough room in the book, not in real life, in the book, to like continue housing the world's seeds. So they have to make decisions about what plants like we keep and protect and which ones will just be lost to the waters of like Antarctica.
This
Not
is
like
like
Fisher.
Noah's Ark of seeds. This is insane.
Basically, like no pressure, right?
Wow.
So this was 5 stars for me. This was like absolutely 5
Okay.
star. must read or listen. I would vote a listen on this one. It was one of those book I kind of got like, I'll put it in the similar category to Silent Patient and Housemaid, not the same type of book, but where like you go in and you start trusting a character and then you're like, oh no, like you like switch over, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
Kind of thing. Um, her writing, McConaughey's writing was just absolutely, in my opinion, like flawless. It was haunting. I like didn't want to stop listening to this, and it definitely has. If you're looking for a spooky Burr month, like listen, this is definitely
Could be
up.
a good one.
This would be a great one. It is like I again spoiler free, but all I'm gonna say is Orly, just Orly, and that last few chapters. Orly is the youngest, so it's a older
I'm
son,
the smartest
daughter,
of them all. Sorry.
and Orly's 10 and likes to get into trouble because he's basically grown up in isolation on this island. So the older son very much follows the father, like in helping, fix the island. The daughter, I'm super impressed, like swims with the seals in like the waters of Antarctica. Like she like is very attuned with the wildlife. And then you have this, I think he's 10 or so, that is very much a 10-year-old that's grown up like only with his family on an isolated island. And then Rowan shows up, and she's one of those narrators that like you think you can, oh, poor Rowan, she comes in and then like the rug gets pulled out from under you. I don't know, Jordan, your thoughts on some of this?
Yeah, no, I can't remember what I gave it. Not a 5-star, but I definitely loved it.
Yeah.
It was very gripping, very compelling. I loved the multiple character POV. I will definitely agree with you. I loved how like you were kind of always wondering and questioning what
Yeah.
all of the characters' kind of motives
We're
were and
doing.
different things like that.
Mhm.
But you were rooting for all of them at the same
Yep.
time. And again, honestly, I'm going to go out on a limb, and I don't know if this is your thought, Emily. This is a book that could be read in school. 100% this is a book that could be read in schools. And I say that because why are we not talking about the seed banks? Why are we not talking about what we're doing in preparation or in the event that, like, I mean, just even you talked about Orly and like this sweet boy that is filled with so many facts.
Yeah.
Like he'll come to Rowan and say, "Do you know that a whale does this? And do you know that this plant is for this and that this does this?" I literally remember listening to this book a month or two ago and I was like, why didn't I read this when I was in a biology class? Why didn't I read this when like
I
there's
like that. It could be a
so much
crossover
value to it.
between like
There's
a biology and an English class. I will say there are
yes.
some trigger warnings that I don't want to give away the
Yeah.
plot, but there are trigger warnings that would like it's not that there are some darker themes that come up as the
Agreed.
characters like
Agreed.
you learn more about them.
But it's a very good book.
How
It's
old
great.
is Rowan, the mystery woman? What's
In
her
her
age range?
30s, late
I would
20s,
say
early 30s.
I thought she
Okay.
was older. I thought she was like mid to late 30s.
Oh, maybe I'm
'Cause
wrong. Maybe
she's
it was mid to late 30s.
no, I think she's more like late 30s ish. And Dominic is like
40s, early
40s,
40s.
early
Yeah.
40s.
Yeah.
She's
Mhm.
older than all the kids. That's
Okay.
like the
That's
yeah.
okay.
Yes.
I mean, I haven't read it, but like I'm all for
I'm
replacing
in.
King Lear in AP English with this.
Or freaking Madame Bovary.
Yeah.
Listen.
I think as long as you can
The
get over the
100 Years
trigger
of
warning.
Solitude. I actually like that though.
Yeah,
No,
no.
because honestly, I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say it. Like my
Yeah.
husband is not a reader. Like he doesn't
read this?
enjoy picking up a book, right? This is it. This is what I'm talking about as far as like a book for educational purposes. This is a book that would grip him. This is a book that I feel like he would be like, "Oh, Oh my God, that's interesting. That's
The seed
fascinating.
bank.
Like,
Yeah.
it would captivate him enough to keep him in. And so high school readers,
Older.
college
Like,
readers,
yeah.
like, I just
Yeah.
this feels
YA
like a
plus
book.
plus plus plus.
I would say plus, 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 plus. I wouldn't even go white. I'd go like A, like just go, yeah, YA plus,
Just
plus,
A.
plus.
It
Just
feels,
A.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's one
Senior
that's
year.
having
Senior
it's
year.
one that's having its moment, and I'm
Yeah.
glad that it's having its moment.
Totally. Totally. No, it was excellent. I will give a shout out to God of the Woods, which I read like right
Okay,
after Wild Dark
I
Shore.
just finished it, so I want to talk about it really quick.
Okay, so we can give it like a few minutes because it's not
Yes.
one of the official, but I had Wild Dark Shore and God of the Woods, which are both like these emotional thriller, slow burn, multi POV kind of like books. Um, Also exceptional. Also another highly recommend. I loved the episode Brie that you did. I listened to it like after I finished God of the Woods. Learned about chewing my whiskey, like new tip that I did not know how to. So thank you for that. But also loved God of the Woods.
The red string that had to happen to make that book
Book.
is I cannot fathom that
Yeah.
because it absolutely blows my mind. Just her
100%.
storytelling and all of the layers and the history with that, and I loved the setting for that book.
Mhm.
I
Yes.
just
Yes.
I haven't read a lot that is set like in that time period, and I feel like it's having a moment, or it's been having a moment for like the past year, but the setting is such a character in
Yes.
that story.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Megan, what did you think?
I loved it. I love that it was like summer camp gone wrong. Like, because it
Yeah.
reminds me so much. Did you guys ever watch? Are you guys American Horror Story watchers at all?
Can't
I've
do that
seen
show.
Oh,
season
God.
1 and like
Okay,
bits and pieces
never
of other
mind.
seasons.
American Horror Story did a summer camp season, and it was very like
That fun.
campy, creepy. So I'm like, okay, American Horror Story did it. I feel like almost lighter in a way than the book did, but I just get that, like, and like summer camp vibes, obviously. But I agree, Brie, like the red string of me just having to follow this like multi-generational, like everything happening, who was related to who, when did they come into play, when did they exit the scene? I was just like, what is happening? Like with just like the people
Yeah.
alone, not even the story. I'm just like, who is everybody?
And then just
Yeah.
the cover, and when you like know what everything is
It
and you like
is
Yes.
cover
really nice.
everything,
Yeah.
It's
the
just,
cover, oh, you just 'cause
I
when
oh,
I saw the cover, I was like, this is well done. But like, what is going
yeah.
on? What is it?
I
I'm like, it's stunning, but what are we talking about? And then you get reading and you're like, oh my gosh, just
Yeah.
I love God of the Woods. Don't get me wrong, I loved God of the Woods. I still will say I loved Long Bright River better.
I
okay.
have not. I just
Okay.
started
Never read
watching
that
the
one.
show. Haven't read it yet. Started watching it though.
You gotta read it
It's
Yay. I
first,
know, I know, I
Megan.
know. I know. But
Dang
sometimes it's
you.
so much easier to watch.
Done that a few times. Not enough time, not enough books.
um
For
And yeah, anyone that hasn't read, or if you have read God of the Woods, do listen to that episode because Rose Friel, shout out Rose,
I love
is
Rose.
like, love her, love her. We have coffee dates like every single month, virtual coffee dates, and I love her. But
Aw.
she's just very, very knowledgeable about publishing and storytelling in books. So highly recommend you listen to that episode because she's amazing.
There
and
you
if you
go.
like God of the Woods, you will like Wild Dark Shore. I'll just put those
I would
together.
agree with that. I would agree with
Yes.
that.
100%. Okay, so then for my second book, I'm gonna like switch scenes completely. And I want to talk about an ARC copy that I got of a book called Unseen by Christy Healy. It's going to be published August 26th. So it is coming out in a couple weeks. And I received this arc and I did kind of went in not knowing much about it, but was completely captivated from the start. And I'm a huge fan. So let me go into the recap. Again, thank you, Goodreads, for this one. It takes place in Like it's Irish folklore. So I am going to butcher these names. I'm just going to throw that out there now. They will not be pronounced correctly. My apologies.
I feel like that's what we're known for, is just butchering
Just,
every name.
and I don't speak in, so my bad. Okay, so Unseen is a dark fairy tale retelling of the Irish fable of the snow, the crow, and the blood. It's about a desperate young queen who makes a dangerous alliance with the Lord of Death in order to protect the one she loves, even if it means damning herself. Riona has known death her whole life. The mysterious Lord of Death has tormented her for years, stealing away the souls of all those she has loved since childhood, demanding that she come and serve him in his shadowy realm, but she has always resisted, until now. When her daughter falls ill with an incurable disease, Riona at last answers the Lord of Death's call and ventures into the hidden realm of the Sidae to offer herself as a servant to him in exchange for her daughter's life. But when he demands that she use the divine magic of her blood to find 3 legendary objects of power that were once wielded by the gone gods themselves, Riona soon realizes that she will be forced to make an impossible choice: her daughter's life or the realm of Erie itself. So I was captivated from the first chapter. I'm not familiar with Irish folklore or fables or this particular one. But what I really liked about this was it's a fantasy, if you haven't picked up on that one. And it's a different fantasy in that the love interest is more like mother-daughter than necessarily like male female, right? Like it kind of breaks that archetype of, the male love interest falls sick and she has to go sick, kind of that one. It's more of a mother-daughter vibe, which was really refreshing. I also, in just the banter back and forth and the interactions in the story, got major Meg and Hades vibes, like from Hercules, like from Riona and the Lord of Death. Like it definitely had that kind of
I could
I don't know,
picture that.
vibe to it, which I really liked. And so it's kind of like Hades and Meg meets like Braveheart is what I could equate it to like together. But definitely like Fae, magic, there's a shadow realm, like all those elements of fantasy. If you're a fantasy fan, this is Bree's like, yep, all those things were there. I think too that what was really cool about this is that there's a personal element too. So her daughter falls ill. But Christy writes in her author's note, which I read after the story, there's a really personal connection that her daughter, Christy's daughter, so actual real life, was diagnosed with diabetes at a young age. And so it's Christy's experience going through that she wove into this story and this experience and this bond between Riona and her daughter. It's heartbreaking on various levels. It goes through like many, many years and multiple perspectives. But I loved it. I couldn't put it down. I read it on vacation and it doesn't sound like a very beachy vacation vibe when you're like talking about the Lord of Death. But I loved it. I would recommend. So
Okay.
Unseen is out August 26th. Highly recommend.
That is very cool.
It's
That
on
one
my
does
queue.
sound good.
There you
I
go.
like that. Okay. Especially when you talked about Meg and Hades. I was like,
That was like,
okay, I
definitely a
got
vibe.
you. I got you.
Also really glad Fantasy got a plug this episode because I didn't have it. That's
Whoa.
actually not true. I did. I just didn't put them in my recap. But I did. I read a Viking fantasy. I know. You're all shocked. I'm not talking about it. Don't
That
worry.
is brand new information.
I'm sure I will talk about it in a future episode when I continue the series. Okay. Well, I'll jump into mine. Has anybody read The Favorites by Lane Fargo?
It's on my TBR and I really want to, but no, I have not.
Great. Let me tell you about it. Okay.
Bree said, rapid.
I'm excited. As we said, this is an educational podcast, and I am now an expert in ice dance. So there's that. Okay. So
Listen, if I had to pick one of the 4 of us to be an expert in ice dance, I feel like I would choose you.
Well, as someone who also did a sport that probably doesn't get the recognition that it deserves, I have a special place in my heart for other sports that don't necessarily get that. And I love that there is now a book that is super popular that is shining a light on a lesser known sport.
There
So,
you go. Okay,
okay,
let's go.
No.
so let's talk about The Favorites by Lane Fargo. This recap is from Goodreads. She might not have a famous name, funding, or her family support, but Katarina Shaw has always known that she was destined to become an Olympic skater. When she meets Heath Rocha, a lonely kid stuck in the foster care system, their instant connection makes them a formidable duo on the ice. Clinging to skating and each other to escape their turbulent lives, Kat and Heath go from childhood sweethearts to champion ice dancers, captivating the world with their scorching chemistry, rebellious style, and roller coaster relationship. Until a shocking incident at the Olympic Games brings their partnership to a sudden end. At the 10-year anniversary of their final skate, as the 10-year anniversary of their final skate approaches, an unauthorized documentary reignites the public fascination with Shaw and Rocha, claiming to uncover the quote real story through interviews with their closest friends and fiercest rivals. Kat wants nothing to do with the documentary, but she can't stand the thought of someone else defining her legacy. So after a decade of silence, she's telling her story. From the childhood tragedies that created her all-consuming bond with Heath to the clash of desires that tore them apart. Sensational rumors have haunted their every step for years, but the truth may be even more shocking than the headlines. How far are you really willing to go to get what you want or to win? That last line is my addition because I feel like you need to know that. So,
This is giving right off the bat like Carrie Soto vibes if you guys have read that book.
okay,
I'm
yes,
feeling
Carrie
that.
Soto, Daisy Jones and the Six,
Yes.
also. So like,
Okay.
so I haven't read Carrie Soto, but like TJR.
Yes.
So I said this is very much like cutting edge, plus spinning out the Netflix series if you've seen that, plus Wuthering Heights, plus Daisy Jones and the Six, and it's a little bit Swifty coded. So
That's a big like cauldron that
Yes.
we're
There's a
like
there's a
vibing
Mix
with.
that
lot
pot.
whole
in
lot
that.
going
Yeah, I
on.
was gonna say start.
Yep.
That's
Okay.
not a soup, that's a stew.
Yes, it is, and I mean, like the Goodreads recap said, it is a roller coaster. This book made me feel a lot of things. One minute I was super intrigued, like could not stop listening. The next I was beyond frustrated and would literally have to like walk away. And then I would shed a tear or two, and then my jaw would absolutely drop. And then I would again be like beyond mad at these fictional characters a lot of times because we were talking about prefrontal cortex. Like this book spans a very lengthy period of time, but it does definitely start in like their preteen, teenage, early adult, and you're just so frustrated with like some of the decisions they're making, but at the same time you like cannot stop listening. So it's messy. The characters are extremely flawed, like all around. There are endless betrayals, lots of scandal, and all amidst the fascinating world of ice dance. Um, it's like kind of hard to pinpoint a like a review for it, for me at least, because the dramatics, I was like surprisingly irritated, but then on the other hand, I have like immense respect for any story that makes you feel so passionate about any of the characters or
Yeah.
the story that's happening. My favorite part, though, of all of that was the storytelling. The dual timelines with Katarina's perspective. So Katarina is telling you from her perspective from that early childhood, then through like everything that happened over years and years and years and years up to sort of like present day, intermixed with documentary interviews, and it was so well done. So they truly do. You don't know everybody's motivation when you're first like introduced to some of these characters that are being interviewed for the documentary. So it's really fascinating to understand like the part that they played in Kat and Heath and the others that are there in the story. It's really interesting to have that be revealed. I liked it a lot too because I really like a book that like pushes different perspectives and shows that not every narrative is rooted in truth. So,
I feel like it should go
Mhm.
dun dun dun.
yes,
Or
Yeah.
you
even
guys, I
just
cannot
that
stop thinking about it.
I mean, the reality is too that there's three sides to every story, right? Yours, theirs, and
And the truth.
And the
Mhm.
truth is generally somewhere. in the middle.
Yes. So, well, I'm always fascinated by stories, and this one doesn't necessarily get into the psychology of it, but I like stories that present the fact that, like, yes, there's that. There's the three sides to all of it, yours, theirs, and then truth. But then there's also just like the different perspectives that people
Yeah.
have on something. And
Hmm.
like the media plays a really big part in this story and sort of the narrative they push. But then you have all of the perspectives of the people actually involved in what's going on. It's really, really cool because they have like the interviewers will be, or the people being interviewed will be, someone that like did an interview of the couple back when they like went to the Olympics and talking about, the scandalous conversation that took place that like was everywhere in the news at that time. You'll have someone that competed against them in figure skating. You'll have someone that was like a gossip columnist, all adding their perspective of what they saw or what they heard. And then
Yeah.
two, it's explaining the documentary. So it'll be like Cat and Heath take the ice, and you can see in their facial expressions, blah blah blah, and then the documentary fades to black. It's just really, really cool the way that the story is told and
Hmm.
depicted. So
That
um
is very Daisy Jones. I really
very
liked that about that book as well. So I feel like this is right in the same vein.
Yeah.
same. So if anyone reads it, I would love to know what you think. I would love to talk about it because right now it is just playing in my head. Um, okay, and then going in a completely different direction, I was going to talk about Totally and Completely Fine by Alyssa Sussman. So this is also the Goodreads recap for this. In her small Montana town, Lauren Parker has assumed a few different roles: teenage hellraiser, sister of superstar Gabe Parker, and most recently, tragically widowed single mother. She's never cared much about labels or what people thought about her, but dealing with her grief has slowly revealed that she's become adrift in her own life. Then she meets the handsome actor Ben Walsh on the set of her brother's new movie. They have instant chemistry, and Lauren realizes that it's been far too long since someone has really and truly seen her. Her rebellious spirit spurs her to dive headfirst into her desire, but when a sexy encounter becomes something more, Lauren finds herself balancing old roles and new possibilities. There's still plenty to contend with: small town rumors, the complications of Ben's fame, and her daughter's unpredictable moods. An unexpected fleeing seemed simple at the time, so when did everything with Ben get so complicated? And is there enough room in her life for the woman Lauren wants to be? Alternating between Lauren's past with Spencer and her present with Ben, Totally and Completely Fine illuminates what it means to find a life-changing love and be true to oneself in the process. That was
Wow.
heavy. Uh,
This one definitely feels like one I would read, though. I really like
Oh.
this stuff.
yeah. Okay.
We
Oh, I
going
was just like,
well?
what?
Hmm. Okay.
We said,
No. No. I got what I need to say. It took me a while to get it out, but I have it. I have it. I wrote it down. I do feel like I should preface this that I absolutely loved Funny You Should Ask, which is the sibling book to this one. I loved it. I loved it when it came out. I loved Once More with Feeling, which is not related or isn't the sibling to this book, but you don't need to read it beforehand. I don't know if anybody has, but like would recommend that you do, because the characters from that book, the main characters from Funny You Should Ask, do come up, and I'm not sure you would fully understand the weight of their relationship and who they are and the part that they're playing to the bigger picture
Mm.
without having read that. Not to mention like how Gabe is Lauren's brother, so the actor that was mentioned at the very beginning of the recap. Not to mention like how his life as an actor has impacted Lauren, her entire life, like from when he became famous to her first marriage and like the passing of her husband, all of that. So I do think it adds that. I don't know if I know Megan's read that, but I don't know about anybody else.
Mm-mm.
Okay, so there were elements that I did like about it. I really liked the past and the present timelines, which I will say I was hesitant about because reading her past, like with her husband, who has died, I was like a little bit worried about just I don't know, not being able to emotionally handle that. But I really enjoy the dual timeline for that, getting to know Lauren's history, her husband, and then of course the grief that she's been facing since his death. Enter Ben, the man who will show her that she can love again. And this is my bone to pick, except that like he something just didn't fully develop for me with their relationship. So,
Okay.
that's literally like all I would say about that because I
There
don't
was
want to
just something missing in the chemistry.
something missing. Very and not it's very lust focused, I would say, at first, which
Okay.
to me is kind of counter to like the whole point. Um, all that, like, I liked who he was as a character for sure. It's a super, super easy read. I'm glad that I read it. You breeze right through it. I think I read it in like under 24 hours. Like, it's a super, super easy read. And I would say, I think, at least from like Funny You Should Ask, I would say, although it's been a couple of years since I read that one, but then Once More with Feeling, like Alyssa Sussman is definitely, I would say, known for sort of her wittiness and like her humor that is within the books. And that's still there, but this one is definitely a lot heavier. It's not dark like some of the other
Yeah.
books we've talked about, but the subject matter is certainly heavier, just maybe depending on your situation, but it is definitely heavier. The last chapter, not the epilogue, the last chapter, like had me in tears. I mean, I was sobbing. So if that's so, I
Okay.
don't mean to not talking down on the book. Like it did make me, it made me feel something. I cried. Um, Even if it just didn't turn out to be one of my favorites, but I'm so glad I read it.
So this is not a full trash can book. This is just like not as hyped up.
This is bottom of the shelf, bottom
Yes.
book, like bottom of the shelf one.
I'm
Yeah.
glad I read it. If you've read other Alyssa Sussman, I would recommend you also read it. But now that I've read all three of her books, or at least the three that I'm aware of, it wasn't my fave.
Hmm.
So
Valid. Fair.
All right.
there we go.
Well,
Well,
dang. We had quite the
Yeah.
gamut on this one, didn't we? I would say.
we sure
We did.
did.
Threw in a little bit of fantasy, threw in a little bit of thriller.
I feel like we had a lot of like Burr month TBR books for people, or like
You know,
like books that would be really good. And I'm gonna steal your line again, Megan. The Burr months, like
we
these are
were
all good ones.
manifesting. We were manifesting.
I'm manifesting so hard that I cannot wait
I
to walk
think
out
that
and
if
not have
there's
it be an
any
oven.
month of the year to actually, if there's any month of the year to manifest, I feel like it's August. I don't know.
Interesting.
I would vote September.
I vote
That's just
October.
my.
I don't know.
On that note,
August is like that weird in between month. Like it's not end of summer, but it's not beginning of fall. Like, you're more than halfway through the year. So what the heck about those New Year's like goals or like
yeah.
Those ships have sailed.
those are
so
dead by
far.
now.
that's-
It's been 8
They
months.
are.
like, if you're gonna manifest into the rest of the year, when are you going to do that?
In October.
And on that note,
Okay. Yeah. Well,
Listener, you're just going to be coming back to the podcast in October. Megan's going to be thriving.
Be at my
yeah.
peak.
I'll help her with it in September when she
Yes.
visits in person.
Yeah.
So you can ease right into October and just
Yes.
manifest away.
There you go.
Jordan and Emily, where can listeners, readers, everybody connect with you guys?
Yes, you can find me on Instagram at Cozy Reads and Sips.
And you can find me on Instagram at books.bottles.
And you can follow the podcast at Narratives and Nightcaps. Also, go ahead and head to our new landing page, which will eventually be our new website and lots more. Sign up for a newsletter that will be coming down the way Yes. Sorry, did I forget to tell that?
Oh
Surprise.
no.
um, don't forget to sign up for that. And tune in to the upcoming conversations and our new series special starting soon.
I'm
Cheers.
so excited. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.